I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. It's a video about the jaw and the tongue, and there'll be some pointers about posture, because it's hard to talk about the jaw and the tongue without the neck and the body being sort of attached to it, and so I will explain as I go along. Hopefully I can try and make this clear. So the jaw joint itself, it's here, and this around here is where we should be controlling the jaw from. And if we try to control the jaw or think in the bottom jaw, the tongue takes over controlling the bottom jaw, and so it becomes a bit of a fight, because the bottom jaw needs to open and shut from the muscles here. And these muscles are the nerves, and some of the sinews are attached into the top of the spine, which makes it difficult to relax the neck, because there are certain things that have to happen to allow the jaw to open and to shut. And one of the things I find is there's a lot online and generally about how to open your jaw, kind of like relax it open, or let it go down and back and things like that. But there's not much about how you're going to shut it, or there's not much about how these muscles help you control the tongue. And perhaps that's a good way to start. So if you, for instance, if you smile like crazy, and instead of smiling lifting up, smile straight across, so it's got a sort of a feeling going that way, not like up here or with the lips doing that, just straight out to the side. You can feel that that affects your tongue. Well, I can, and I hope you can too. You can feel it kind of sits the tip down in the well, sort of like this, and the back of the tongue sort of lifts up, and then the tongue forms the front of the throat and goes down, doesn't it? Now, when you do that, you can also feel that the sides of your cheeks pull away from the teeth. And you can also feel that there's a feeling around the back of your ears and kind of inside, sort of in your ears, sort of not in this bit, but if you were to go further in, you can feel it here inside. So you can definitely tell that doing that helps to make your tongue wide. I can feel that there, it's wide, but it also makes your palate quite flat, kind of lowers it down in the middle. And when you're singing, I hear people talk about lifting the palate, but it's never helped me really, because if I lift my palate like this, it kind of causes trouble everywhere else, because I don't have an ability from birth really to lift my palate. That would, it's kind of, your palate is kind of controlled by other things, and it's controlled, your tongue and your palate are controlled by these muscles here. Now, if I want to lift and dome the palate in the middle, so you want to kind of domed feeling like this. If I were to do that, then I like to feel that this part of my cheek here is fat, not pulled in, not hollowed, but sort of fat enough to push onto my bottom teeth at the back here, bottom teeth, and here. And that lifts the palate along here, lifts something. It makes it kind of a regular kind of dome, I feel. And my tongue is left like this, and it has more of a relaxed feeling in the middle of it when I do that. Kind of lets it loose a bit, I feel. Now, one of the things that I see a lot in my studio over the years is that singers strike the note, they open their mouth and then become extremely tense. And a lot of the tension happens before they open the mouth. How you open your mouth, how your jaw drops is determined by where it was before you opened it. So if your jaw and these muscles here are not sort of switched on enough, when you open your jaw, one just gets stuck in this jaw, in the lower jaw, and then it has a sort of just get tight, and then people are told to kind of support, and then it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And over the years, that can make a voice really quite exhausted. So how I find when I open my jaw, I need to stimulate my body to then perpetuate that sound. So for pitching is an easy thing for us singers. I mean, there are only a few people in the world who are a musiker. They can't, um, you know, pitch a sound. They can't. Um, their ear and their vocal cords just are not quite coordinated. It's a small percentage of people who can't do that. I had one in my studio once. I advised him to go away and play the recorder or something so he could get used to playing a note and knowing that pitch. I mean, it's difficult. So for us, mostly singers, we for most people, you think of a pitch, and unless there's a lot of tension in the way, you can just sing it. Ah, I mean, it's easy. But most of the time when singers get tight, they get tight about the easy and natural bit of singing, which is the striking and pitching of the starting of a note. And like I said before, most of this tension happens because because when they started the note, the body was not hooked up and perpetuating that note on the body. And what I'm trying to say here is a lot about how you control this stimulates the body to allow the right amount of air to come, because this is the something that a singer cannot control themselves. What you're looking to do when you sing is to turn things over to things that you can control, to allow the reflexes that allow you to breathe, which allow you to sing, to happen easily, because those reflexes you cannot control. And so long as your posture is good when you sing, and that I'll talk about later, the breath should, if this right stimulation is happening, just happen easily. And a phrase before, and the breath out, which is a phrase before, should naturally have in it, by the end, the breath of decision for the next phrase. And that is largely stimulated by what you do here. Now, the jaw joint itself goes something like this. So you can see that it slightly slides forward and back like this. So this part of your jaw, this jaw joint, is in your head. And if your mind, when you open your jaw, is where your lower jaw is, then yeah, if you're trying to make it go down and back, you're trying to tell your tongue where to go, then I I can't sing like that. I have to have a different way of thinking. So before I open my mouth, I have to have my palate and my tongue where I want it to be. So if I'm going to take a breath, the breath is going to sort of come through my nose and sort of over the top of my tongue at the same time. But this breath is going to be determined by how I breathed out. So if I breathe out, I'm going to use this, fatten this, and my tongue will automatically be where it should be by how I'm controlling this and the muscles behind my ear. And it affects these muscles here in a box-like manner, the side of a box, if you like, that's straight across here and down there. Has a sort of straight across feeling. You're not trying to lift anything, but you're stimulating the correct things to happen. And when you drop your jaw, this is the easy part of it. It just, oh, that's the easy part. You just, it's so easy for you to do it because it's a natural thing. It's almost like somebody far away on a boat or the Caribbean just thinks, right, that note. And it just happens. It's such a simple thing. But then it's how you're going to perpetuate this note that is the thing. So once you've started that note, if in the first instant you don't stimulate your body to accept this note and perpetuate it, what will happen is you'll get stuck in your lower jaw, which is where you kind of left it, and some sort of tension will creep in. So as soon as you've opened your mouth and you've come from this, what needs to happen is you've got to stimulate your palate and your tongue to be where it should be so that the body naturally says, okay, you want to keep that note going in the open throat. Okay, I'll help you. And this feeling comes from low down on the pelvis. He used to talk about that in the old days, singing on the pelvis. You never hear that now. But I can feel it as soon as I go, oh, as soon as I leave my mouth open and put a little bit of this on it, oh, I can feel my body wake up and go, okay, I'll do that. But this all depends on when you breathed out, that you took the breath with that attention, and then it will just simply happen. Now, sometimes singers, if they've been used to singing very much, pushing it, or even if they've been used to using a smile technique, produces a lot of tension. But there needs to be this thing in front of it, this fattening thing in front of it. Now, one of the difficulties that happens when people are starting to use this muscle is that they do it too much. They don't do it quick enough. And when they return their jaw, they don't keep this fatness on. So it goes, and they pull it back into this width back here. But when the jaw opens, it needs to go up and forward, and it needs to open without you actually feeling that it's going down and back. I know that's a weird thing to say because one hears it a lot, the jaw, is go down and back. But I mean, if your posture is on, where else is it going to go? You know, it should be beyond your thinking to think that. And it should have a feeling that it's just opening this way, although it's not. It's just open here. You know, my jaw is going down and back, but I don't think, oh yes, I'm making my jaw going down and back, and my tongue is where I want it to be, and blah blah blah. Because I know it's going to be where I want it to be because of where I put it. When I took the breath, when I breathed out, and my jaw will have the tongue encased in it. If this is my bottom teeth and this is the gum, it'll be naturally just in the well with that feeling of sort of sloping up, quite released in the middle, not tight. And then, well, maybe that's better. Going up to something a little bit and then forming the front of the throat here. I'm not going to start thinking of lifting the middle of the tongue because I just don't know where the middle of my tongue is, to be honest. I mean, where is it? I don't know. If I start thinking about my tongue or where it is, then I'm sunk. The only thing I can sometimes do is if I'm a little bit tight somewhere, like sometimes in a piece of music there'll be somewhere where I just something happens. Like this one bit, and when I bring my jaw up, I just let my tongue just, as I open it, gently slide down here. It just gently slides, and that can release any tension. But if I've got tension, it's because I've made, I let myself get a bit tense or something at some point. So tries not to do that. So bringing the jaw, there's another way in which you can find this, bringing the jaw to find out where it should return to, indeed. This doesn't work for everybody, but I find it reasonably does work. If you open on most people, if you open your teeth and then bring your lips together. Now, some people, when they do that, because they have so much tension in their own jaw, their lips will go down here. They'll pull this down. But try to find this feeling right back here. And try to release your neck at the same time. Then try and fatten this. Fatten this. Then open your jaw. And fatten it again here. Now, when you fatten it again, it'll bring your jaw shut. So you're not bringing your jaw shut with this, with your consciousness here. You're controlling it from the muscles. And that will bring it naturally up and forward, back to where you want it, which will not be towards your bite. Most of the time, it's not towards your bite, where you might normally bite. Because you don't really want your teeth to shut generally in a bite. Generally, do you? You want it to, and a lot of people's teeth aren't where they should return to for singing. And if you look at most diagrams of that people put in books, the front teeth are underneath the bottom teeth with a gap in between from which the jaw drops. And your tongue has to learn to work across the gap. And when your tongue is down like this, da, and when you start the consonant, me, it will start on this nice open throat, which you've stimulated the body to support. It will start from this nice open feeling. Da, and it will just drop, and then you bring it back again. Yeah. So one of the problems with doing this is that when we cry, or, well, let's say just cry, most of the time in life, I don't know about you, but sometimes one generally doesn't really want to cry in public, does one, really? So one sort of wants to stop oneself doing that. There's a just natural response to stop it happening. And somehow singers need to kind of get over this, because singing at the squealo, crying, is this response. So that when you are singing, you're basically crying. Because if you notice people cry, I'm going to cry now, so they go, I don't know why I can't do this. And their jaw drops and then they go to the width. That's what they do. So when you're singing, it's only the pitch that's between you and the loony asylum. Because if all of us just went around crying our deepest feelings, it'd be awkward, wouldn't it? So if you were to sing Un bel di vedremo and you were going to do it as you would sing it, look. Now, if you were going to do it, stand outside the supermarket and do that without the pitch, you would be, somebody would take you away. Imagine, no one would certainly put any money in your hat. So the thing is, that's why it's difficult to do it. And there are not many singers in the world who can actually do that in public and really allow their body to be stimulated like that. Because as soon as you cry, you go, you let your jaw, you go, already you're in a heightened state, your jaw drops. As soon as you do that, you can feel your whole body comes up, because it's a fright. It's a connected, emotional, visceral response. And singing, and these arias, these great arias, are written for that visceral response. And you see a lot of singers, they're going, or something, I don't know, you see them doing this and they're trying to get it right or something, I don't know what are they doing. It's not really that visceral response. And there are so few singers now who can do that all the opera houses are fighting over a smaller and smaller pool of singers. And it's actually a natural response that we're talking about. Now, the trouble, as I've said before, we have a stimulant to suppress this and not to let it happen. And most of the stimulus that we have to suppress is by tightening and stopping things at the neck. So when you are using this, and you can feel muscles all around here, everything is working. I can feel all my head and everything going, And also when I do this, this hum that I was talking about with the jaw, I can feel like a sort of, instead of it being stuck in my nose, it has the nasal resonance on it, but it has a sort of openness behind here. And consonants need to be in that openness and that open throat. They mustn't be do, 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 not do, do, not that do. It must have this feeling. And when you bring your jaw back to the hum, and that's an exercise that you can do, to make yourself, immediately you open it, make the response for the cry. So I'm going to address this business of the neck and how it has to be on the body. And release. Now, release is not floppy. It's And this that I'm showing you is not a floppy thing. It's not like you're opening your jaw and leaving it there. You're sending the control back to these muscles immediately. And it takes a little while to get this correct. You'll do it overly much or not enough. And someone has to find the response. Um, that you have to find these muscles and make them do it, and not sing the note do and then let your ear get attracted to this sound. Because when we sing, and I should say this before I start doing the body aspect of it, people always say, don't listen to yourself, but they don't really mean that, I don't think. Well, it doesn't kind of make any sense to me, because I can hear myself, and that's a fact. But what your ear should have done is it should have heard it. It shouldn't hear it in real time. By that I mean, is if you have a violinist and they're not very good, and this is why it's a bit painful when people start playing, because they want this note and they make it start like now. Whereas a violinist, when they play, it's about their body. You can see it's about their body. They set something in motion, and then it starts, and then their ear hears it. But it hears it. It doesn't know exactly. It's a physical thing that you set in motion in time so that it will start, and it's not that you want to hear the note now. And it's the same with pianists or any musical, or a clarinetist. You just go, you set up something and you start it, and then your ear hears it as a result of your physical response. And it's no different in singing. When you start a note, your ear then goes, oh, yes, I heard it. So your ear should always be behind what you do. So when you start it, and you send it over to the response to keep your throat open, your ear should all the time be behind that response. You are physiologically making a mechanic that, like any instrumentalist, that makes something happen. And your ear, as I said to somebody, it went. And then to make it more clear, it had already wented. I know that's not English, but it's already gone. By the time you have done it, it's gone. And the old saying was, start your note in your dressing room, and then your ear might hear it when it comes to the stage. It's not that you don't hear it, it's just you don't hear it in real time. And so your ear has to learn to accept that. Like your ear is in an alternative reality where it accepts something, almost like, a meditation. You're looking at the candle and thoughts go by, just goes by. You allow things to go by. And that's sort of like that. So a lot about how you do this with your jaw and how you approach consonants without letting them go straight into your neck and become tense. It's not only about how you shut your jaw, and you can do the consonants from the hum with this open. So you learn not to go so you learn to do it on this. And when you open your jaw, you're not trying to keep anything where it was. You just let it go. Just let it be. And then it's after that you say, well, actually, I want my body to perpetuate this. So I'm going to say, I want this to carry on in an open throat. And then you're back to sort of how you're going to, your crying response to govern that. Now, because your neck is going to get involved with this, it's all about how your spine finishes here and how you're going to support your spine through your whole body from your feet. And You can use a ball like this. This is a Yamana ball. Yamana. You can put that between your ankles, or you can, have a larger one if you want, between your thighs, between your calves. And try to have that feeling that you're kind of pulling up, and in the middle of your sacrum, you're going down. Now, I do see people trying to straighten people's backs by putting them on the door and pushing the small of their back. This has never worked for me, for all sorts of reasons, which I won't go into now, because otherwise this video will just go on and on and on and on and on. I'm going to do that. So, so try to remember that your from your waist to along the back of your bum, it does have an angle, so do not try to flatten it. But try to create space by coming up inside you with the ball, and at the same time, sort of sit down there without changing the angle and dropping back. Just have the feeling of lengthening, maybe slightly down behind you. Okay, and then you should be able to feel your neck come out of that, and then try and just let it sit on it. So when you do all this stuff, your neck just allows it to happen. And you don't have that feeling that you want to control everything. You want to control the start of the note with your ear all the time, or try to stop that squealo because you're going into fright and flight because you just don't want to cry in public, basically, because that's what it is. And, sometimes you can't see that response with some singers, this, because they've got quite oval here, but they're doing it. You can't see it, but they're actually doing it. Now, if you've been trained on the Cuperto, which I do, 2 people have tried to teach me that, and I'm glad of it. One taught me the one octave Cuperto, because she said Mary Garden used to do it. Kabaya used to do it, because she used to accompany, and the other one is the 2 octave Cuperto, which David Jones does. But it took me a long time actually to really discover what it's actually really for. And I realized that when you actually do this with this fat here, instead of going, ooh, ooh, and you really do that response with your bottom teeth underneath your top teeth, ooh, not only does it help your voice to be oiled, because your body is so, you'll find if you can manage to do it without getting all tense, because if you get tense and leave your neck up here on its own, it's not going to be a pleasant experience. And it's better if you put a through it, and you breathe through that shape, this fat shape, and your teeth have to be parted at the back. If you can do that, no matter what voice, doesn't matter what voice you are, it's putting you on the body, and your chords it's not a real singing sound, is it? So your chords are just sort of almost touching like that, and your body is holding those the chords, just stretching them along that, which is sort of what you want, really. You don't want the chords to push like that. You don't want that. You don't want, then it gets tired, you get airy bits. You just want it to be like this happily, don't you, when you sing? So it helps exercise this. And after doing this, singers are usually surprised at how well oiled their voice feels afterwards when they sing. And if you can do that, now that's an exaggeration of where you need to go after you've started a note. It's really quite tight, but you need to go towards that shape in order for your body to perpetuate that vibration. And it actually takes some time to really learn how to do the capato really well. And then it's like, oh, it's like it's like a lifesaver, really. I mean, it's like you can warm up with it, warm down with it. If you don't sing much, you just keep your voice going like that. It's a marvel, really. Garcia exercise. Anyway, I hope that's helped, and I hope um, you have some success with using a ball. Maybe if you haven't got a ball like this, you could put a pillow, I don't know, squeeze a pillow like that, maybe between your legs. Because so it makes you use your exercise and exercise the inner part of your body and slim your hips and come up and then sit down. So you're sitting down and then your neck can just come out of it, all that up the front of your spine like a fountain. Anyway, hope I've made that somewhat clear. It's very difficult to explain these things. Anyway, good luck.